Yeah. The Chargers are back. The Chargers are back. Yeah. The Chargers are back. Welcome to Chargers Talk 4630. Say what's up to Stacey, the host. Always keeping it real though. Rocking with the Chargers since 78. From San Diego up to 5 Mount LA State. Powder blues clean. Don't let the colors fool you. Jim Harbaugh running the show. Yeah, the coach is brutal. Back to back double digit wins. Set the tone. Lost a few pieces, but we locked in. Fully loaded zone. Eyes on the future. Yeah, we sneak it into heaven. Super Bowl is so far. 2027. I'm saying your team sidelines nervous. Yeah, they know what it be. Mike McDaniel in the offense scheming like demons, huh? Chris O'Leary in the building. Defense! Defense! Yeah, 3 about to tell us what this team really meant. Playoff run longer, yeah, we put them to sleep. If you want Chargers everything, this is the place to be. Let's talk 4630. Nobody's got it better than us. Hey, share and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
This episode of Chargers Talk 4630 is brought to you by Zevo Life, the exclusive patented superfood changing the way people fuel their bodies. Now listen, if you're looking for a game-changing way to improve your health, Zevo Life is the world's most nutrient-dense whole plant. We're talking over 50% plant protein, essential amino acids, fiber, and powerful antioxidants, all in one natural source. Just 1 teaspoon a day supports your gut, boosts your energy, and promotes healthier skin and hair. And the best part, people everywhere are giving it a 5-star review because it works. So if you're ready to feel the difference, head over to Zevo.life and start your journey with their 30-day risk-free guarantee. And because you're a loyal listener of this podcast, you get an exclusive 30% discount. Just use my code ChargeTalk4630 at checkout. That's without the R. That's ChargeTalk4630. Take control of your health today with Zevo Life. Your body will thank you. Hello and welcome to Chargers Talk 4630. I'm Stacey, and we got a good show for you today. But before we get started, I want to ask if you can like, share, and subscribe to continue to get this good content. And you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, as we are on every major platform. All right, joining me today as a special guest, he's a journalist and a writer for the Sporting News. He covers the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys, and he recently wrote a piece on the Chargers and the approach to free agency that really caught my attention. All the way from Australia, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Adam Schultz. Adam, how you doing, man?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. You know, all the way from Australia, I really appreciate you doing this, and I appreciate you for joining me. I just want to give some context to everyone that's watching. We are literally talking from 2 different days right now. I'm recording this podcast from New Jersey at 4 p.m. in real time, but for Adam, it's already Saturday morning, being that Australia is 15 hours ahead of us. Adam, it's like you're living in the future. What is that like?
Oh, no, it's weird. It seems like I'm always like a day behind with the news, as odd as that sounds, because all the big news that happens in the States, I'm fast asleep in bed. So when I wake up, I've got notifications on my phone, especially with free agency last week. Yeah. This happened, that happened, and it's just like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Wow. Listen, I want you to take me through your journey a little bit and let us know how you became a journalist and ended up a writer covering the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys.
So 2020, just as COVID happened.
Okay.
I was working in I guess you could say a timber yard. My wife has MS. So at that stage, she needed a bit of help at home. And I was just doing a little bit of writing just by myself, doing a little bit here and there. And I love sport. So then it was like, okay, my wife needs me home. I really want to get into this. I really, really want to do this. And she goes, just go for it. Because obviously at that stage, COVID, the world was just on fire. And I just threw myself into it, started just doing like some freelance stuff. And then as the years progressed, I got with Mike Fisher, who was at Sports Illustrated. Now he's at Roundtable. He taught me everything that I know. And it's just gone from there, just snowballed. And now I do it pretty much full time.
Oh, wow. So how's your wife doing now? She's doing okay?
Yeah, she's good. She has, I don't know if any of your listeners know about multiple sclerosis, but it's the one that she has, it's just like slowly progressing. So she has her good days, has her bad days, but I work from home in the office here, so if she needs anything, I'm only a little call away.
Okay, we send our blessings to your wife. Let's jump right into the Chargers, because coming into this offseason, there was a lot of fans that felt like this was the moment. Like the last few years under Brandon Staley didn't live up to expectations, of course. Then Jim Harbaugh comes in, you bring in Joe Ortiz. In the first 2 seasons, you deal with cap issues. And now they finally have money to spend. But since free agency officially opened, they've been pretty quiet. No big splash moves, while teams like the Raiders, Broncos, and Chiefs, they all are signing players and improving. What do you make of that? And did the Chargers miss an opportunity during this free agency to get better?
You could say they missed an opportunity, but most people know the first wave of free agency, whatever position you sign, it's going to be an overpay. That's just the way the world is.
Absolutely.
So it depends on what their vision is. Obviously, Harbaugh's come in, and you can see straight away the type of football he wants to play: defense, run the ball.
Yes.
And for me, as odd as it sounds, not put too much on Herbert's plate. They've won 11 games back-to-back years.
Yes.
But I don't understand. Over 50 million in cap space. Whether they've got some of that earmarked for the future or not. But I come across an interesting stat yesterday.
Okay.
And it opened my eyes. Last year, we all knew that Herbert, he was under siege pretty much, wasn't he?
Yes.
He was sacked 54 times last year.
Yeah.
That's third most in the NFL. Only 2 players had more. Geno Smith and Cam Ward had 55.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, but I get Andrew-like vibes if that keeps happening.
Yeah, a lot of it was because you're losing the 2 tackles. And when that happened, you had Mekhi Becton. You know, he didn't have a great career his 4 or 5 years that he was with the Jets. And when the Philadelphia Eagles got him, they hit because, you know, he was big and played a big role in creating a lot of holes for Saquon Barkley in a historical season that he had. And you was hoping to get that from Mekhi Becton, but a lot of times he was uninspired, looked like he wasn't really focused. The few games that he did play in, he took himself out a lot of those games. And rotating door of people at right tackle and left tackle, man, it was hard to see, Adam. It really was hard to watch Charger games. Looking at Herbert take that kind of a beating.
And like it would be the same for any quarterback. You take out your right tackle, your left tackle, and unless you have insane depth at that position, which not many do because they're obviously premier positions.
Yes.
But back to the salary cap, like I would have thought after seeing what Herbert went through last year that you would maybe be a little bit proactive. They got Tyler Biadasz from the Commanders. That I think that's a shrewd signing.
Yes.
That's a good Pro Bowl center.
Yes.
But it seems like they're banking on Slater and Alt being healthy.
Yeah.
But like I said, if they've got some of that money earmarked for the future, or not. But I don't know. If it was me, I would have been a little bit more proactive in the first week or so in free agency. Not saying that I'd overpay.
Yeah.
But I would have. Yeah, I mean that they might have, and they might have just been outbid or something like that. But I don't know. Sitting on 50 million.
Yeah, and that's the big conversation that Charger fans are having. Everybody knew we had the third most amount of money to spend, so people expected us to be a lot more active than we were. But fans was expecting like at least one big signing. It never came. Now we know Jim Harbaugh and Joe Ortiz, who are 2 of the best football minds in the game. It's just hard to read what positions they prioritizing. So from a fan's perspective, what do you think we're missing here? Or is this a misstep by Joe Ortiz?
I think if you look at last year under Minter, that defense was pretty rocking.
Yes.
So I imagine that they're banking on at least maybe staying the same roughly. For me, it has to be, with the way the league's going now, it's clearly more offensive. And you've got a guy like Herbert who, for most, he's top 10-ish, depending on who. That's a conversation for another day. But I would have thought that they would have probably tried to do more offensively, like especially with the offensive line. If you look at what happened last year, it's like, man, we got to protect him. Like, yes, you lost Slater, you lost Alt, but like, man, you got to protect Herbert because as good as the defense was last year, you're only going to go as far as your quarterback takes you. I went through that with Dak and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Now the offensive line is still young there.
Yeah.
But at least he's obviously there were some games, but obviously he's not under siege as much. And you saw what Dak did last year.
Yeah.
You give Herbert the offensive line in Dallas, man, with the way Harbaugh likes to run the ball, that's pretty good, man. But like also like, at receiver, like what's going on there? You've got Lad McConkey. Are they banking on Trey Harris going up again? Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen. He led the Chargers in receptions last year. Is he coming back? You know, so that's another area. Does Herbert need number one, or do you prioritize protection? I don't know, man. Like you've got the money there.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like there's more questions than there are answers right now, and I think that's what got a lot of people concerned. Let's talk about Justin Herbert, the protection for him, because we did see him take a beating last season, and he was pressured more than any quarterback since Andrew Luck. How concerned should fans be about the offensive line right now, and do you think the Chargers did enough as of right now to actually fix it?
Well, you've seen what he can do when he gets time. We've seen what all quarterbacks do when they get time. We're not asking the pass pro to hold up for 10 seconds. If you can give him 3 or 4, you could argue he's as good as anybody in the league.
Yeah.
You miss both tackles, and defense, it just slowly comes in, and then the time clock sped up.
Yeah.
I would have thought they would have tried to get a little bit more.
Yeah.
Around him. Obviously, I've seen fans freaking out over the Cowboys not doing much. Oh, we haven't done this, we haven't done that. Everyone seems to think that free agency only lasts 7 days.
Yeah.
You know, we've still got plenty of time till the draft. I think what probably got most Chargers fans offside is that, like you said, they were expecting, like if they had have signed Tyler Linderbaum, bang, okay, we got a quality center. At least it's a start. No disrespect to Bjardish.
Yes.
But Linderbaum, probably a different level.
Yeah.
I'm more of an offensive guy, so I like to see the ball getting slung around the yard, which obviously Herbert can do. But like we've been seeing with players like Mahomes, if they don't have time or if they're constantly sped up or pressured, everyone's going to look average.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that they're banking on the health of the 2 tackles coming back, which, cool, they're both absolute studs. But again, what's the depth like behind them? And then who's Herbert going to be throwing to? That would be my thing. Like, yes, like you roughly know what you're going to get defensively. Offensively, yes, they'll probably run the ball. But Mike McDaniel, he's got a pretty good bag of tricks. Like when that was announced, I was like, oh, okay. With Herbert, okay, right. Now they might have something. And then it just kind of seems like they've just kind of sat on their hands a little bit. Why? I don't know. Are they banking on his scheme being able to get guys open and things like? Because we saw what he did with Tua in Miami. Are they hoping that's going to happen with Herbert?
I don't know. I mean, Joe Ortiz has come from the tree from the Baltimore Ravens, and there never been big spenders in free agency, and they always have had a plan in place to be able to accumulate the compensatory picks, and this is what Joe Ortiz also likes doing. So I don't know how much of that is playing a part in it, but let's move on as we're talking about receivers. Recently, we saw Jalen Waddle get traded to the Broncos a few days ago, right? And that will make them more explosive on offense. And guys like Waddle has 4.3 speed and making him a downfield threat and keeping defensive coordinators up at night. With the roster as it stands today, do you think the Chargers have enough firepower at the wide receiver position, or does this wide receiver room still need a true playmaker with speed to make them more explosive?
Firstly, yes. It'd depend, like what's happening with Keenan Allen. Obviously, he's not going to be your go-to guy, but he still had over 700 yards, 80 receptions last year. Like that, if he doesn't come back, you got to find that from somewhere.
Yeah.
Will Ladd continue his trajectory? Will Trey Harris, Johnson, they're all good players.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have that guy like Dak. He has a CD. You look at all the top teams in the league, they have at least one guy that is go-to in third and long. Yep, I'm just going to throw it up. Like, does Herbert have that guy? Probably not. He had it with Allen to an extent. But then again, it just comes back to what does McDaniel want to do? Does he want to be similar to Harbaugh and just we're going to run the rock, get in second and short, third and short, and then allow Herbert to just kind of play bus driver a little bit?
Yeah.
Or do they want him to air it out? If they want him to air it out, then I don't know. Obviously, you and your fans probably know more about the Chargers than me. But just on paper, it's like like McConkey, Harris, Johnson. That's a good trio.
Sure, it is.
But is that going to win you a playoff game or two?
I would like to add another receiver. Now, as far as Keenan Allen is concerned, hey, look, he's one of my all-time favorite Chargers. He's a great player. He's been great for us. And Herbert liked to look for him on third down conversions all the time. But he's getting kind of long in the tooth. And I'm going to say this, and a lot of Charger fans may not agree with it, but I see Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen as being the same player with the same skill set, but with Ladd just being faster. Ladd is a great route runner, just like Keenan was a great route runner. Ladd got great hands, like Keenan had great hands. And you see what Ladd McConkey did in year one. I think by bringing Keenan Allen back, it kind of like got in the way of Ladd McConkey because he didn't have that many balls thrown. He proved last year that he can be, even though he don't have the prototypical size for a wide receiver. It's like the guy 6'2" or 6'3", 210 pounds. But he put the production up in year one as a rookie. He's shown that he can play at a high level. And that playoff game 2 years ago, his rookie year against the Houston Texans, I think he had like 180 yards and a touchdown in that game. So I'm not crazy if they decide to move on from Keenan Allen. I'm okay with that. But I do think you do need another receiver that can take the top off. That's extremely important, as you can see Waddle along with Cortland Sutton, I believe, with Denver. That's going to be a headache. I heard you mention in one of your articles that the Chargers have the foundation of a good team. So with that being in mind, how much pressure is on the front office this year to get this right now that they finally have cap flexibility?
Well, I think if you look at the way the division's going, like the Chiefs were down last year, they're not going to be that bad again. You wouldn't think.
Right.
Denver's probably not going anywhere. And the Raiders, who knows what they're going to be. Like, that division's tough, man. You've got Herbert, you've got a good foundation. Yeah. But you can't sit still for too long. Yeah. So that's why it's a little bit puzzling to me that they've got this money and they either, one, don't want to spend it, or two, haven't found the guys they're willing to spend it on. Now, we're only in year two with Harbaugh. So it's this, fans look at it just fans look at it as like a year-to-year basis. They're probably looking 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. But Herbert's not getting any younger.
Right.
So there's got to be, I would think there's got to be a time where it's like, all right, because LA hasn't been a bad team.
Right.
Roughly, you know what you're going to get in the regular season. Playoffs, that's a conversation for another day.
Right.
But if I was a GM sitting back playing Madden and you've got Herbert, you've got a good stable of running backs, you've got some okay weapons.
Yeah.
A defense that's probably going to be, you could say, at worst, maybe, 12th, 13th, maybe with the coordinator change. Sometimes production drops a little bit.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take much. Like you said, obviously I'm spitballing here, like you get him like an AJ Brown. Obviously that comes with a lot of baggage that most people probably know. But he
only had 5 picks this year too. So
well, that's the thing. Do they want to go to the draft and maybe wait another year or two and see how they develop? Or do they want to try and maximize what they've got?
Adam, the trio that the Chargers have, I love Trey Harris. I love, obviously, Ladd McConkey's game. I mean, Quentin Johnston, he didn't live up to expectations as far as where he was drafted at in the first round, but he has improved the last couple of years. Yeah. And then with Mike McDaniels coming there, I know that one of the reasons that you mentioned earlier about what he did with Tua, but his offense, everything, all his schemes was predicated around speed. They were like a track team, and they would just run teams right out of the stadium. And I don't see a burner like that. And I think that we need that. And I don't know if they're holding out for a trade or they're going to draft one of these receivers. I've been watching the combine. and they're very deep. Like you had about 8 receivers that ran a 4.3, at the combine. So I'm sure they'll be able to get someone. I don't know if it's going to be through the draft or you're going to make a trade. I'm not sure about A.J. Brown. We don't have a lot of draft capital this year, so I don't see how that's going to materialize. But under Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, the identity was clear, right? Run the ball, be physical, control the game. Now that you bring in Mike McDaniel, what do you expect this offense to look like in year 3? And do you expect a real identity shift under Mike McDaniel?
I think it has to, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like they went with Roman. Obviously, his time in Baltimore was pretty successful too. You knew what you were going to get, smash mouth football. But when you have a quarterback like Herbert, like you have to take advantage. Like he can make any throw. You give him time, he's as good as anybody.
Yes.
And I think McDaniel, with the way he's obviously just going by what he did in Miami, the way he schemed up things, schemed players open, like he said, with the speed.
Yeah.
You get McConkey or Johnson, you get them in space. Yeah, they're not absolute speed burners, but Herbert's going to get them the ball.
Yeah.
It's just a question of, is he going to have protection? Because we know McDaniel, he likes to use the run as well.
Yeah.
So I think it has to be a shift, doesn't it?
Yeah,
maybe not completely the other way.
Right.
But I think it has to tailor more towards what Herbert does well. Like, yes, don't forget the run game, because obviously that's a big part.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I would have thought, obviously fans shouldn't expect to light the world on fire next year. But I would think, like, I watched a few Chargers games last year and I was like, man, it's tough to watch. I don't think you're going to get that as much this year. I think it'll be a little bit more explosive.
Sure.
But yeah, I think they just need to add some speed, like you said.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of two things. One, we just had a horrible year keeping guys healthy on the offensive line. It wasn't just losing the left tackle and the right tackle. How many teams have a all-pro left tackle and a Pro Bowl right tackle? Yeah. I mean, those guys were two of the best tackles in the league, so losing them, it hurt like really bad. And Bradley Bozeman was, you didn't have a center either, and center is important as well. And so our center didn't play well at all, and he's gone now. And I expect it to be a lot better, because when we brought Greg Roman in, I rooted hard, got behind him. I go to a lot of the games and wish Greg Roman the best. But honestly, what Justin Herbert proved his first 4 or 5 years in the league, he was lighting the league on fire. It was a bad mix. And I was wondering the entire time when we got him, what is he going to look like? Because I know that he has done great with coming up with running schemes, but too often the last couple of years, man, I've seen Lad McConkey and Keenan Allen running into each other on routes. And I'm looking like, did this look like this when he was drawing the play up? Like, at least 3 games, I've seen those guys just run into each other. Or when Herbert throws the ball, there's 2 receivers right there in the same spot. And I just think it was bad. I think you're going to see the old Justin Herbert that you saw his first couple of years. Mike McDaniels, even when he was with San Fran, the running game was always explosive. The offense was always explosive. So having somebody like Justin Herbert now to coach, I think Charger fans could get excited about seeing more explosive plays again. That's just the way I see it. What do you think with Greg Roman? I just thought he was a bad mix. I was wondering how it was going to work, but Justin Herbert hasn't looked the same since Greg Roman been there. Yeah.
And I think because the scheme was so run heavy.
Yeah.
Like there was times last year where 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and they're running and then they get stuffed and then they're punting away. Like the thing with the Cowboys and Dak, like since Schottenheimer's come in last year, like they're aggressive on 3rd down, 4th down. When you've got a guy like Herbert, put the ball in his hand. Obviously, protection probably played a part in that too. Then are we going to be able to hold up when all the big hogs are coming? Yeah, for me, it went too far. It was too run heavy, I think.
Yes.
And when you've got a quarterback like Herbert, I would understand fans going, what are we doing, man? We've got this young stud here.
Yeah.
And on 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, unless you've got a proper bell cow back, we're just handing it off. Put it in his hands.
Yes.
If he makes the play, great. If he doesn't, well, who else would you rather have with the ball in their hands.
Yes. Unleash the beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I have a feeling that they're probably going to pivot more towards a Herbert's friendly offense, I would say. Not to say that the run game's not going to be a key part, because with McDaniel, which it's probably going to be, the way he can dial up things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be fair for fans to think, okay, like you said, we're going to get a different Herbert from when he was in his first and second year, I think.
Yeah. Adam, another one of your articles you recently wrote, right? You mentioned that this felt like the offseason for the Chargers to be aggressive, especially building around Justin Herbert. And they just haven't really done that. Why do you think that is? And what does that tell you about what their plan may be moving forward?
Well, they've had, in Harbaugh's first 2 years, they've gone 11-6, made the playoffs. So that's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Right. When a coach comes in first time, there's obviously a few bumps in the road. But like I said, last year, they were just decimated with injury.
Yeah.
So I would have thought coming in, like they've obviously hired McDaniel. Great. Okay, where were our problems last year? A, B, and C. All right, let's go and try and be proactive and fix them. Because you could make the case that the Chargers are right there in the AFC.
Yeah.
If you were healthy last year, if the offensive line was healthy last year, I mean, Olsen and Slater at 50% are probably better than half the league. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm puzzled, man, because they've got the money there. You can see where the holes are, especially offensively.
Yeah.
And I feel like with McDaniel, it's going to be more offensively orientated now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like, are they waiting? Well, like, did they wait for the first wave of free agency to calm down, prices go down, and then they can like nitpick and get a nice veteran?
Yeah, it's like still early in the process too. You know, you still got the draft coming. You know, where at the draft, you know, teams release about 10 players. So you're going to have a lot of people out there, some veterans. And I just wonder when you have an opportunity like they did in the beginning of free agency to bring in a difference maker and you don't, I'm just wondering, is that going to be enough? Because they had already proved they're a playoff team. You know, they're going to win the regular season. Now the next question is, how do we get over the hump when the playoffs get here? Who can we look to get us to that next level? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's the question as well, where does the organization view themselves right now? Are they thinking like it's only year 2? We've only had 2 years with Jim. Year 3, he's slowly starting to put his program in, and like you're starting to see results. Are they maybe banking on an improvement just with McDaniel and your tackles coming back?
Yeah.
And maybe just pluck a few free agents here and there, some veteran ones, and then make I don't understand it. Then make the salary cap roll over into next year.
Yeah.
But look at the way the league's going. Like, no year's the same. Like, we can't bank on the Chargers winning 11 games next year. Like, you obviously the better teams in the league, you can probably say that. But the division, like, playoffs aren't. It's not a lock. Especially like you look at the Chiefs now. Like you said, Denver's got Waddle. The Raiders, like, you just don't know. So that's why I don't understand not being proactive unless they have a clear plan, long-term plan that they're sticking to.
And we just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, and they're banking on internal improvement and the change in coaching, which for me, that's a lot of ifs.
Yeah.
You know?
So you do see now that Roman is out, McDaniel is in, that you believe that Mike McDaniels can help unlock Justin Herbert and get him to a different level.
Oh, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think if you don't think that way, there's something wrong, because you've seen what he could do with Tua. Now, no disrespect to Tua, but he's not on the same planet as Herbert.
Yeah. Right.
In regards to, obviously, Tua's probably a little bit more accurate. Justin can do everything. You give him time, he can do anything.
Oh, absolutely.
I think fans, they can at least, worst case, expect the floor to be raised.
Yes.
Offensively. And I think, like I said, with McDaniel, his scheme, the way he likes to get guys open, the way he likes to run the ball, it's not just typical north-south. Like we saw in Miami, it was a lot of end arounds and everything to get the players with speed, the ball in open space. I think it Chargers, like, even if they don't make any more free agency signings, I think fans should at least be like, okay, at least we're going to hopefully see some fireworks this year. We got the quarterback to do it. We've got the offensive genius to make it happen. Yes, you'd like ideally you'd like a proper number one. So Ladd's not that guy. Because could you imagine Ladd as your second receiver? The defense doesn't have to look after him. They're worried about your number one. You imagine what he could do.
Right.
But I think if I was a Chargers fan, I would be excited at the potential, but then I would be a bit annoyed that they haven't like rammed home that advantage to an extent.
Yeah, because they're close. I think a lot of us believe that we're close, and we know that sometime it could be one or two really, really good players that can take you over the top. You know, based on what we've seen so far and knowing the draft is still coming, what's the realistic expectation for this team, or do you think they're still a year away?
I think I want to say that people maybe underestimate the changes that happen when you have a new coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with McDaniel coming in, he's got skins on the wall in the league. We've seen what he can do. Mm-hmm. And you could make the case that this will be the best quarterback he's had to work with.
Yes.
You look at the coaching tree he's come from. So I would, if I was a Chargers fan, I would just hope that we don't take a step back.
Yeah.
If you win 11 games again, miss out on the playoffs, that's going to suck.
Yeah.
But at least that was the thing when Schottenheimer took over Dallas. Just as long as you don't go backwards.
Right.
But it's hard, like you said, like you feel like they're there. They just need maybe one or two key players at the right position.
Yes.
And then, who knows? Because like I said, you know what you're going to get defensively. Or at least you think you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So, playoffs would be nice. Again, that's not a foregone conclusion in the division, but if I was a Chargers fan, I would hope like you're going to be more explosive, you might score more points, but as long as you don't go backwards, if you can worst case maintain, okay, cool, we're good.
Yeah, I think they're a playoff team. My concern is not them. I think with the coaching staff and having Mike McDaniel to come over, having Jim Harbaugh, having some smart people in the building. And that whole coaching tree is just really good. They're good at football. They're just good at X's and O's, and they just know how to win. There was a lot of games we grinded out a win, and some of those games, man, we had no business winning, but it's coaching. Coaching makes a big, big difference. And I see them going to the playoffs. My concern is what happens when you get there. This has been 2 years in a row, and it's always been about up front, the offensive line haven't been able to protect Justin Herbert the last 2 years in the playoffs. So we haven't seen him play at his best in the playoffs, but that's the biggest reason why we were so frustrated about why we're not solidifying the offensive line now that we have money to pay, because we don't want to see Herbert go through another season like he did. Let's jump to Quentin Johnston real quick. It's been a lot of conversation around him. What's your evaluation on him at this point? And do you think he's part of the Chargers' future, or is he still up in the air?
I think, like you mentioned earlier, he didn't start well, and he was almost a meme every day, wasn't he? Yeah. He was just struggling. Last year, I think, where did I write it down here? I think he had over 700 yards, handful of touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think
8 touchdowns. It's 2 years in a row with 8 touchdowns.
Well, there you go. Like, that's good production.
Yes, it is.
If you can get, I'm not saying you're going to get 8 every year.
Yeah.
But he's clearly shown that, okay, he's got something.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. I think as far as his future's concerned, I think you look at and see what he could do this year with McDaniel, with a coordinator who does like to throw the ball over the yard.
Yes.
Is he going to be able to take advantage of Johnson's skill set?
Right.
Because he's quite a big receiver, and he's not a speed burner, but he can still get downfield.
Yes, yes.
I think if they don't have any other receivers come in, I think you could probably be reasonably confident as Johnson as your 2-3 receiver. It's just going to be how McDaniel wants to use him. I think that's the biggest thing, because
that's the key right there.
Yeah, because we've seen offenses where star players, like for example, you look at AJ Brown last year with the Eagles. How do you not get him 7, 8 targets at least a game?
Yeah.
You know, like as a Cowboys fan, obviously last year was different because with Pickens, but if CD Lamb's sometimes getting 2 or 3 targets a game, you're looking back and you're like, what are you doing? He's the best weapon we have. So I think that's going to be that'll be key. How does McDaniel want to use him, and does McDaniel see Johnson fitting into what he wants to do? Because we've seen coaches just put their scheme. That's it. Players you got to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
And then we've seen other times where coaches will mold the scheme around the players they've got.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be key. But I think he's shown, especially the last couple of years, like you said, 8 touchdowns. That's nothing to sneeze at.
No,
man.
not
That's
at
good.
all. Not at all.
It's just a matter of what expectations inside the building they have for him. If they're happy with him being a bit part player, 500 yards, and he's doing his job, obviously everyone looks at the stat sheet when they go to receivers.
Yeah.
But, are they doing their job in the run game? Are they blocking? Are they doing all the other things that don't show up on the stat sheet?
Yeah. I think he gets a bad rap, man. He takes a lot of heat. People love to say, you got to get him out of here. He dropped too many balls. You'll be surprised. I don't have the stat in front of me. I was reading it when I was talking with a guy last month. There were like really, really, really good receivers in this league that had more drops than Quentin Johnston. But the narrative is always that he dropped too many passes. He dropped too many passes. He dropped 4.
Yeah.
He dropped 4 passes last year, but he gets killed because that's what happened his first year. And although you've seen him take a leap his second year and a leap his third year, for some reason, he can't seem to shed that narrative that all he do is just drop passes. Now, had he been drafted maybe in the 3rd round, I don't think people would be talking about him.
Yeah.
I think
that's the thing.
Yes.
That's the thing, where he was drafted.
Yes.
And like last year, like you said, he only dropped 4 passes.
Yeah.
I think CD Lamb in the season opener at Philly, I think he had 3.
Yes. He was one of them too. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I love CD, but
Yes. No, he's a great player. Great.
It happens.
Yes.
I think a lot of it has to do with when those passes are dropped. If that's late in the game and you're driving to either tie or win, and it's a big drop, that tends to stick with people.
Sure.
But I think like you said, it's most of it was where he was drafted. People don't expect 1st round picks to. And
it don't help that Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers was drafted after him, so the Chargers could have had one of them. So, a lot of it have to do with that too. Last one for you, Adam. Fans came into this offseason thinking this was the moment the Chargers would take a big leap forward. Instead, it's been a more patient approach, and that's created some real frustration among the fans. For fans who are struggling to see the vision right now, what would you say to them, and why should they still believe this team is being built the right way to eventually make a deep playoff run?
I think, as they say, Rome's not built in a day. And I think in today's day and age, is everyone wants results and they want them now.
Yes.
Right. You can see the foundation that's been built. Like, fans are complaining that you've won 11 games back-to-back years. Like, try being a Browns fan or a Jets fan. Obviously, it's putting it into perspective. Yeah. But yeah, I get it. They've been close, but they just gotta like the Cowboys. They've been close, but they just didn't do enough to get over that hump. I think fans have a right to be upset.
Yeah,
frustrated. Absolutely. Like, you've got 50 million roughly just sitting there. I think it's a fair question to ask. Okay, what are we doing? What's the vision forward? Like, are they just banking on internal improvement and coaching to get an extra 2 or 3 wins? Like you said before, we know what we're going to get in the regular season, but when it comes playoffs, as good as Herbert is, it hasn't exactly been good. And that's not all on him. It's never all just on him.
Yeah.
But the front office has to do a better job, I think, of putting pieces around him.
Yeah.
Whether that's better offensive line depth, whether that's another receiver, or getting someone like McDaniel. Just a fresh voice, completely different way of doing things. I think you should see improvement. How much, and is that going to be enough? Because I think I'm not going to speak for Chargers fans, but I think they're in the same mold as Bills fans. They don't care what happens in the regular season because we know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen when all the chips are pushed in the middle of the table in the playoffs.
I agree.
And I think most Chargers fans, if they ask themselves what can they expect this year, I think they'll probably say the same as last year, but with a hint of trepidation because they haven't made the moves to make fans be like, yeah, okay, we've got A, B, and C. Mm-hmm. If we have to go to New England or Baltimore, we can rely on them. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
It just feels like there's a lot of meat left on the bone. I'd love to be a fly on the wall just because it might be a 4 or 5 year plan.
When you have a great quarterback like Justin Herbert, and you mentioned he can make all the throws. He's done some unbelievable things on the field that most quarterbacks in the league just can't do, and I'm just being honest about that. Yeah. You bring in a Jim Harbaugh that's won everywhere he went. And when you see the coaching staff and you bring Joe Ortiz in from Baltimore, he's been with Baltimore 23 years, a great winning organization that they take pride in just winning. And with the Baltimore Ravens, it's all about competing for a championship every single year. When you bring those kind of people in, you're not bringing those kind of people in to say maybe 5 years from now. You're bringing people in to say we want to win right now. And I think that's why fans are so frustrated right now because we are like, hey, listen, now it's been 2 years. We've been in the playoffs 2 years in a row. And listen, had a healthy Slater and a healthy Alt been there and Amarian Hampton who got hurt and missed 9 weeks. You had Khalil Mack who missed 5 games. We had our share of injuries, but yet they kept fighting and they were able to get there and then to hit a wall because, of all the injuries on the line. With the people that we bought in the building and you're paying Harbaugh all the money that he's being paid, you bringing them in to win. Like right now, the Charger fans want to win. I've been a Charger fan since 1978, man, and I want to win. I don't want to hear about a 4 year. I felt like that in the beginning when he first came here. I said it's going to take 3 years. It's going to take 3 years. For Harbaugh has turned it around everywhere he's been. Why he can't do that here? Under Brandon Staley, he was one of the worst coaches ever. But you've been to 2 playoff games under Brandon Staley, though.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert's best seasons has come under Brandon Staley. So the talent is in the building.
Yeah.
So now with Harbaugh and them guys, I think Greg Roman was a bad mix, and it held Justin Herbert back. And I like the Mike McDaniel move. I think it's going to unlock some things with Justin Herbert. But what are we going to do when we get to the playoffs? That's my whole concern.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, in similar vein to the Bills, I don't think many LA fans are going to care if you go 13-4 or you go 10-7 and make the playoffs. It's just what happens when you get there.
That's right.
And like I said before, I don't think playoffs, yes, looking on paper, LA's a playoff team, no doubt. But it's no guarantee they're going to get in, especially in the division. So that's why I think I feel like they've missed the chance. Not necessarily. I mean, obviously they could still do something in the next couple of weeks before the draft.
Yes, it's still early.
In a couple of my Cowboys pieces, I've written that fans, they wanted the Cowboys to be more active in free agency, even though they've been more active than they have been in the previous years. And some seem to think that free agency is finished now, but they forget that the George Pickens trade was a later acquisition.
Yeah.
Last offseason. So there's still time for the Chargers to get someone in.
Sure.
But man,
and I know, Adam, as you say, the division is very tough. But as a Charger fan, being within the AFC West, we've been hearing that every year, especially the last couple of years. We've been hearing about Denver. We've been hearing about Kansas City. We've been hearing about we're going to be on the bottom. But the Denver loss in a game that we didn't need to win and had backups in because we knew we were in the playoffs already. That's the only game they lost in the division. Other than that, the last couple of years, they've been beating Denver and had their success against Kansas City. And they swept Kansas City this year. And so I know it's tough, but I know.
I think that's where you said that coaching matters.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think it's an underrated aspect
Yes.
in the game, I think.
The Chargers reminded me a lot of the Cowboys over the last maybe 10, 15 years with Justin and even with Phillip Rivers. You always had the talent. The talent was always there. We never had a problem scoring points. You know, with the Chargers, they never had the type of defense until the last couple of years under Jesse Minter.
Yeah.
And you had the guys, but then you got the coach. And those were the same guys that we were dead last under Brandon Staley, who was brought in because they said he was a defensive guru. So, and then were a top 5 defense immediately the next season under Jesse Minter. That's why I know coaching matters a lot. And I know it's tough and all those things, but the Chargers reminded me a lot of the Cowboys. The Cowboys always had the offense. They had good running games, you know, but they couldn't win playoff games. And the same thing happened to Chargers. We always had the team. Under Brandon Staley, we had the team, but we just didn't have the leader. And now we got the leader. Now it's about, okay, we've been there. We've been flirting in the playoffs 2 years in a row. We won 11 games 2 years in a row. And we know what happened in those last 2 years facing the Houston Texans, and we couldn't pass protect. We couldn't run the ball, you know, and now we need to figure out a way how to get better when we get to that next level. Because like you said, it don't matter what you do in the regular season. You can go 10-7, you know, but what matters is what you do when you get in. And if it's going to be a one and done, that can't happen. For me, my heart can't take it anymore.
Yeah, but like I said before, it's like the Cowboys. Like, no one will care if Dak and Co go 15-2. You know, similar to Chargers.
Yes,
what are you going to do when you get into the playoffs?
Yes.
That's what fans want to know. And I don't know if you can sit here today and be like, "Yep, I would be confident that the Chargers will win a playoff game next year."
Yeah,
and I think after the years you've had. I don't feel like you should be saying that. I feel like you should be, I reckon we can. Yeah. But you haven't, as you said, you haven't made the additions.
Yes.
Similar to the Cowboys, like the offense last year was elite and the defense was a story for another day. Yeah. But they haven't been as proactive as what many thought they would be. Yes, they made some good additions. Yeah. But like the Chargers haven't even done that.
Right. Yeah.
Like I just say, like you have a look here. Charlie Kohler, tight end, solid. He was a backup in Baltimore. Keaton Mitchell could be something with McDaniel, and Alec Ingold, fullback. Yeah. So like they're not needle movers for me. And I think like as you alluded to, I think that's what you need.
Yes.
You need that one guy. Like if it was a Waddle, you'd have to pay up a fair bit of draft capital.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
But I think that's what you need. That one guy to be like, woo, okay.
Yeah.
McDaniel with him, Herbert, all right, we're cooking now, let's go. I don't think they have that. I'm not saying they can't in the next couple of weeks or even the draft. You never know. Right. Never know with the draft how that's going to fall. But yeah, I just feel like it's a missed opportunity. Like you've said so many times, like you're there.
Yeah.
Back-to-back seasons of 11 wins.
Yeah.
You would think there'd be a little bit more urgency.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, there hasn't been.
Yeah. You know, as Charger fans, we want to believe we're going to be playing in January next season. Is there something you see or something you can share with us to give us reason to feel like we still ascending, even if some doesn't feel like it?
Well, I think, like I said before, the foundation's there. Like back-to-back 11-win seasons, that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, having old Slater back, that's obviously going to help, even if they're 50%. You have weapons, but are they going to be enough? I think you could be confident in saying that you're going to win that double-digit games purely just because of Herbert and the coaching.
Yeah.
I think. Question is whether you can get over that hump and be better. But if I was a Chargers fan, you've got the pieces. You've got Herbert, decent enough run game, decent enough weapons, coaching staff, McDaniel coming in.
Yeah.
I think you can be confident heading into next year.
Yeah.
But I think not as confident as you want to be.
Yes, absolutely. Well said.
I think you would, if they had for example, if they had brought in Tyler Linderbaum and AJ Brown, because they're just the two names that are just in my head, for example. Now you go into the season with that. Okay, you could say, yeah, we could win a playoff game with that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say that now, but I think Chargers fans, they should be rest assured that at least the floor has been set. You roughly know that you're going to get 10, 11 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And like you got that last year and you had half your offense out.
Right.
You know, if some people in the organization don't break a mirror or don't walk under a ladder or, you know, something like that, it might be different.
Right.
So I think the football gods would be mean to the Chargers for them to make them go through that injury stuff again. So I don't think you're going to be that injury prone again. Right. Touch wood.
Yes.
But yeah, you've got the floor there. It's just I don't think Chargers fans care about that.
Yeah.
I think they're like, oh, we want to, even if it's just one playoff win. Just like as a Cowboys fan, like, yeah, getting to the playoffs is great. Just win one.
Yeah.
Just have something.
Yes.
Yeah, just something. Yeah. Can they do it? Absolutely. Will they do it? I don't know. Still early in the off season.
Absolutely.
But okay. I don't know. You can feel confident, but not as confident as you'd want to be.
Right. I want to give a big thank you to Adam Schultz for taking the time to join me all the way from Australia and giving us his insight. Adam, I really appreciate your time, man. Stay safe, and thank you for joining us here on Chargers Talk 4630.
Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you. That was good stuff from Adam. We covered a lot of things today, and I want to close with this. I talked with some fans in the chat, and they told me I'm giving up on the Chargers because they have all the money and they didn't do anything. I was waiting for something big to happen in a trade or a signing, and although I'm disappointed that more wasn't done, I just want to remind you what they did with the money they spent. So it's kind of unfair to say they didn't do anything in free agency. We can agree and disagree on some things, and that's okay. And this is just my opinion. But they came to the offseason with over $84 million in cap space, and they made some solid moves. You bring back Khalil Mack, who's still one of the best edge rushers in the NFL, even at this stage in his career. And what he means to the locker room and to the younger guys can't be measured. They re-signed Tony Jefferson. How's he still playing at this level in his career is amazing. Without him, there's a very real chance the Chargers don't win some of those close games at the end of the season because he just made play after play in big moments when they absolutely had to have it. You re-signed Deshaun Phillips, who's been great on special teams and filled in nice down the stretch. And playing next to Dalen Henley, he looked like he has a future as a starting linebacker. They also signed tight end Charlie Kolar at 6'6", 265 pounds, and another ex-Raven. He was one of the better blocking tight ends in the league. I like the Keaton Mitchell pickup. There's some injury history there, but the speed is real. The dude runs a 4.3, and if he hits a hole, he can take it to the house. Adding that in the backfield with Amarian Hampton and Kamani Vidal, I could see the running game under Mike McDaniel becoming very explosive with the combination of speed and power from these backs. You bring in top fullback Alec Ingold from the Miami Dolphins, which he will be much better at his job as a fullback than Scott Matlock, who was really just a defensive tackle trying to play the position. Alec is a great blocking fullback that should immediately pay dividends for the Chargers. They also signed former Commander center Tyler Biadasz, so now you go from the worst to the number 11th ranked center in football, and that's a big improvement. Too often under Bradley Bozeman, the defender was pushed right into the quarterback's lap, or Bozeman just allowed him to run free right down the middle untouched. You will not see that happen too often under Biadasz, and that should help Justin Herbert. You bring back veteran Denzel Perriman, who we know is a liability in coverage, but when he's coming downhill to tackle, he can lower the boom as good as any linebacker in the league. They bring in guard Cole Strange from Miami, and his stats are nothing to sneeze at, but this is a guy who Mike McDaniel is confident in his system, so there's that. They also locked up Tear Taught for 3 years, who's played at a high level since he's been with the Chargers, and right now, he's one of the better defensive tackles in football. Then you sign Dalvin Tomlinson, who has the size to set the line of scrimmage, the ability to take on double teams and help stop the run, and that should go well playing alongside Tear Taught and Jamari Caldwell, and that defensive line all of a sudden looks real stout and should be difficult to run on. To a lot of people's surprise, they re-signed offensive lineman Trevor Penning and tackle Trey Pipkins, and I'm assuming they're debt pieces. We won't know until the draft shakes out the rest of the roster, so again, it's not like they've just been sitting around on their hands doing nothing. Coming off the last 2 years of making the playoffs, the Chargers, in my opinion, are that close to being a team that could go on a deep playoff run. This is why I thought we would have been more aggressive when free agency hit, considering the money they had to spend. I was waiting for that move in free agency where I could say, wow, they're really going for it. Just making the playoffs is not good enough anymore, right? We want to make a push to be in that AFC title game. That move didn't happen, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I feel like there's a window here where the opportunity to win is there to be had. I felt like signing a big-time player or two can make the difference between whether you're in the title game or the Super Bowl. I don't think that's asking for a lot, but as I'm trying to look on the brighter side of things, I know with the upgraded center and your 2 all-pro tackles back, if they can stay healthy, this line is already improved from last year, and that's good news for Justin Herbert with regards to protection. I'm sure another guard will be added in the first round of the upcoming draft as they continue to shape this roster. Those are all good moves that should work in a system that they run very well. Will that be enough to get us beyond the first round of the playoffs? We'll just have to wait and see. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Charge Talk 4630. Thank you to everyone for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bolt up.